name is Marilee Henderson, and I work with MAF, and I live in Chad with my husband Phil, who's a pilot.
Hi, my name is AnnaMarie von der Meiden, and I'm a pilot and soon-to-be aircraft mechanic.
Hi, my name is Charlene Coco, and I'm serving with MAF in Papua New Guinea.
Welcome to the second installment of our Limitless series. I'm Jocelyn Fry, and I will be your host tonight. I'm a missionary with MAF and served overseas with my family in the Democratic Republic of Congo for 9 years, from 2011 to 2020. And now I'm serving in the Home Office in Guelph, Ontario. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We're so excited to be live for these events. You should notice at the bottom that there's a Q&A chat box at the bottom of your screen. Feel free throughout the evening to type any questions you have throughout the presentations there, and we'll have time to answer your questions live at the end. We may not get to all of your questions, so if you could, please add your email address in as well. We would love to be in contact with you to answer any questions that we're not able to get to tonight. Joining me live at the end to help answer questions will be AnnaMarie, who you'll meet in just a few minutes, as well as Ray Snaith, our recruiting manager. We are so excited to share tonight 3 more stories from 3 incredible women, and are so thankful that you have made the time to join us. Not often do we see women in missions highlighted, nor do we see much of what their lives and their ministries look like. In MAF, we see more airplanes arriving and people celebrating, which no doubt is very exciting. But we want to share with you the stories behind those airplanes and runways, the stories of women serving in technical aviation, overcoming stigmas, leading by example, and stories of women who are ministering to and empowering the isolated, showing God's love in the places they are with the gifts and passions God has equipped them. We are here to celebrate their amazing work and what is happening around the world. If you weren't able to join us for part 1, I highly encourage you to go back and watch that. You are able to watch that on our YouTube channel, and there'll be a link for that in the chat. I'll be sharing more of my personal story in our 3rd installment of this Limitless series on July 15th, and I really hope that you'll join us then. Without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce our first feature, AnnaMarie. AnnaMarie was born in Uganda, where her parents were serving as missionaries in the north of the country. They often joked that her love of aviation came from flying with MAF as a baby. Her passion for people and spreading God's love works perfectly with her skills in and passion for aviation. She recently interned at the hangar at MAF Angol in MAF Uganda, where it felt like she had come full circle after spending part of her childhood there. She is currently training as a pilot and mechanic in hopes of serving overseas in these capacities.
Hi, my name is AnnaMarie von der Meiden, and I'm a pilot and soon-to-be aircraft mechanic. A little bit about my background is I grew up overseas. My parents were missionaries, and we traveled quite a bit. Uganda was my first home. We lived up in the north and often used MAF. And my parents used to joke that that's how aviation first got in my blood, since before I could walk, I'd been on more airplanes than they could count. And growing up in developing countries, I saw firsthand how people of many different cultures lived out their faith despite challenging circumstances like poverty, violence, lack of education, infrastructure, medical care. And this had a strong influence on me wanting to pursue missionary aviation. When I lived in Chad during 2 civil wars, my family experienced a lot of dangerous situations, and I saw corruption and extreme poverty. And through this, my faith really came alive to me personally in ways I saw God at work. And also the core missionary community there who are really strongly dedicated to making an impact despite the risks and Loving people who weren't given an equal opportunity at a good life hugely inspired me, and is something I want to be a part of. Becoming a missionary pilot and mechanic is a dream that I've had ever since I was little. Living in remote areas of the world, I've seen firsthand what a lifeline aviation is, and it's inspired me to want to use my passion for airplanes to help people and share the gospel. I love what it says in the book of James, chapter 2, about putting action to our faith, stepping out when we see needs. And to me, that's what I believe God has called us to do as believers. We are to be the hands and feet of Jesus and the environments he places us in, and use the passions he has given us for his glory. When I met Stuart King, one of MAF's founders, had a huge impact on me taking the first step in pursuing this dream. I met Stuart when I was living in the Netherlands in 2015, and I was in university at the time, which was more of a logical decision than a heart decision, as I didn't have the finances to start flight training. But Stuart, he strongly encouraged me not to give up my dream if this was something God had placed on my heart. And I still clearly remember him saying how we need to have more female pilots on the field. And our correspondence since then has always been a big support to me. And it was really special getting to visit with them one last time on my way over to Uganda last year. I think it's important to be passionate about what you're doing. It doesn't matter what gender or race you are. If God's given you a dream, you need to go for it. And this has always been my perspective with aviation. When I went to Uganda last year to intern with MAF, I didn't give much thought to the fact that I'd be the only female mechanic in the hangar. And it wasn't until my intro day when a local lady in the office, she gave me a heads up and was like, you know what, AnnaMarie, for many of the local guys around here, you're going to be the first female mechanic they've ever met. And it was a really positive experience working in that culture where like many women are never given the opportunity or even the idea that working in a more technical setting is a possibility. And I had a lot of positive conversations with the local guys who have daughters and sisters and wives. And for me, it was such a privilege getting to carry this message and be an example that women are capable in technical roles. Our gender shouldn't be seen as an obstacle when God gives us passions and skills for things. The best way to describe my training journey is that it's been a zigzag adventure of faith. My training path has been a little out of the box. Like, not everything has turned out as I expected. It's really been a journey of trusting God with every step, and this has really built my faith. After meeting Stuart King, I moved back to Canada and earned my pilot's license at MAF, Mission Aviation Training Academy in Washington State. And this is a missionary-run training base and was an amazing foundation to begin my training. I then immediately jumped into maintenance training in BC. I volunteered at Prairie Aviation Training Center in the hangar, worked as an apprentice in Ontario. God opened some amazing doors for me to volunteer with the Harvard Association and continue with some flying. I received a really exciting scholarship to join a flight crew flying across Alaska to fundraise for a local charity there. And last year I went to Uganda for a maintenance internship with MAF for 5 months, which COVID stretched to 11. And now I'm back at NADA, finishing up my maintenance license and trusting God's provision to finalize my flight training here as well this year. And through all the steps of my training, I've seen God at work in amazing ways. And every time I've gone outside my comfort zone in faith, God has provided. And this has given me the confidence and conviction that I'm on the path God has set for me. When I was flying in Alaska, I got grounded unexpectedly in a rural, no road access community. God worked out the situation in such an awesome way. I got myself to Anchorage, where complete strangers from a local church picked me up, housed me, connected me with their friend who was a pilot, CFI, and had his own airplane, which he let me fly, and he flew up to Kingdom Airport to drop me off. And that was a place I wanted to visit, which is way up in the mountains and specializes in training missionary pilots and mechanics. So I spent the rest of my time there until my planned commercial flight back to Ontario, helping out in the hangar, joining on some flights. And the connections I made during that time and the people I met were so God-timed and encouraging. And it's been these God moments along the way which have been a huge motivation through the challenging situations and obstacles I've walked through in my training journey. And it's really been exciting. I've seen God stitching my training steps together and preparing me for the dream of serving in missions. What makes me passionate about the work I do is definitely the people. It is so rewarding getting to be a part of people's lives. And for me, that was my absolute favorite part about my year in Uganda. Is working together with the team of national staff and expat, building relationships with the people I met. I ate matoke and posho with Ugandans my parents worked together with 20 years earlier, and meeting Sam Sepwe, hearing his stories of flying out with MAF for the Jesus Film outreach in different villages around Uganda, talking with my night guard, John Bosco, about his 15 kids and hearing how they're handling the lockdown with limited income, connecting with the local pastor, Kimatama, who my mother worked with and who adopted me into their family. Their daughter, Jemmy, she's my age, and she convinced a girl not to have an abortion and adopted the baby as her own, which is a huge deal in the local culture for being a single lady with little income. And just getting to share daily life alongside these people is inspiring, and it's in these moments where I see God at work. I'm working towards becoming a commercial rated pilot and aircraft mechanic and use these skills on the mission field to share the gospel. There's a high standard of training that is required to be prepared to fly and fix airplanes in this setting. As a missionary pilot, you don't get 8,000 feet tarmac runways with clear skies. You need to be prepared for the 2,500 foot dirt strips on a slope with challenging weather and an airplane loaded with medical supplies, or the mission of picking up a passenger out in the bush who has malaria, but the fastest road system to a hospital takes 9 hours. So it's wonderful to be training in an environment like here at MATA or at Prairie, where this is the focus and goal of the training. At MATA, my instructors and mentors are teaching from personal experience, and emphasis on excellence and precision is invaluable preparation for developing the skills I need. The impact that I hope to have on the mission field is I want to be an encourager, someone who is seen as a friend, who makes time for people, who is interested and invested in the lives around me. Yes, having the skills to fix and fly airplanes is important, but that's not why I'm going to the mission field. When I'm working in the hangar and my colleague is having a hard day, I take time to listen, and then I hear that his friend just died in a motorbike accident. Or when I go for lunch at the shack and try speaking the little Luganda I've learned with the local ladies and who've cooked and just ask about their family. When a pilot comes in for maintenance from the Congo and I hear his son is really sick, we should stop and pray before he heads back again. To me, that's impact. Those are the moments God works through, and that's what I want to be a part of. Yes, I've definitely faced obstacles. I've experienced discrimination because of my gender, received comments like my brain isn't as technical as a guy's, faced demeaning situations. But I've also had an overwhelming amount of very experienced and influential men in the aviation industry encourage me forward. I've had people I never expected invite me into their hangars to help with projects and share with their expertise. People offering to take me along on flights so I can build experience. People who've made time to answer my questions, given me resources to help in my training, make sure I know how low-level flying through the mountains feels like, and really just cheer me on. And many of these people have not been Christians, and it's been exciting how through these encouraging situations, which have been so supportive and empowering to me, I've also been able to share the why behind why I am pursuing aviation, and that's been really neat. For me, the passion has always been the people. And it's so rewarding getting to be a part of people's lives. For me, that was that was my favorite part about being in Uganda, how I got to work with the team of national staff and expats there.
So if you'd like to learn more about AnnaMarie, there'll be a link in the chat that'll show you how to follow along with her ministry or learn how to support her. She'll also be here at our Q&A time at the end. So if you have any questions for her, please make sure you put them in the Q&A box at the bottom so that we can have a great time of Q&A with AnnaMarie at the end. Feel free to continue to place them in there while we're going through this. So I just want to open us up. I do actually want to start with a couple questions for AnnaMarie. AnnaMarie, if you'd like to let us see you. AnnaMarie was our first video, and AnnaMarie, I think what is your plan after you're done your training? What do you plan to do?
Well, currently right now in the interview that I was still at NATA, but I now have transitioned to Ohio the last couple of weeks, and I'm now at MMS Aviation. And this is where I'm finishing up the last of my exams for my aircraft maintenance license. And then as soon as I'm done here, I'll be jumping back into the rest of my flight training, which I'm aiming to finish by this year. And then I'll be starting and preparing to head to the field.
Nice. We had a question here about what you were studying in university. It sounds like you've done sort of a variety of things in different places. Did you also get a degree, or you just did flight school and your aircraft maintenance apprenticeship?
No, I was in university in the Netherlands, and I was studying international development. And while I was there, through a lot of really God situations and praying, and God opened the door for me then to continue into flight training. So I didn't finish the university program, but I wrote more about that story and how that all happened in the MAF article that I wrote.
Yeah.
And also the link that was posted to my website. You can hear more of the full story.
Yeah. Did you find the time that you did in your degree? It sounds like that was a really fruitful time for you.
Yeah, it was. It was really valuable.
Awesome. I also wanted to ask you, as you've watched sort of the other stories of the other ladies tonight, how has that affected you in hearing other female missionaries sort of talk about what they do overseas?
Well, I just think it's really encouraging when people are pursuing what they're passionate about and finding wherever you are and whatever your skills are, just doing something that you have a heart connection for. I think that's really important.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, AnnaMarie.